In this video, we'll be going through the installation of GhostBSD step by step. Right, here we are on the GhostBSD website, and we're going to need to go straight, not messing around, straight to the download section. And there you will find an official image and community image. And right at the bottom, you'll find instructions, which we'll come back to later, on how to write it to a USB stick. Like I said, there are two versions. There's the official image, which runs Mate. And just in case you did not know, it says official. And at the bottom, we've got a image which runs XFCE, which is the community supported image. And if you want anything else other than these two, XFCE and Mate, say for instance KDE, or to build it yourself, I've got a couple of videos which you can see on the screen. I'll leave a link down below. And we'll need to download from a nearest mirror. We've got Canada, France, and South Africa. So Canada will take for the Americas, France for Europe, and South Africa for everywhere else. I'm going to click on France, and there we go. It's started. It's as simple as that to download. And my internet connection is really not the quickest, but it's still going at the fullest speed that it can. So the GhostBSD servers are quite speedy. And it says, thanks for choosing GhostBSD. And this is the section where if you want to support it, if you want to make a donation, you can. I usually do every time I download. I think it just really pays them back for all the work that they've done on a wonderful, easy to use OS. There's my good deed done. So we will fast forward to the end, or might skip to the end. So 14 minutes left of this particular download. Right, going back to the installation instructions, which is on your download page, which is a very nice place to have them, by the way. It's a very good idea. You scroll to the bottom, and it gives you ideas on how you can install if you're using GhostBSD or FreeBSD, if you use Linux, Mac OS, on Windows. And a lot of the instructions are very similar, but there are subtle differences in the syntax used. So really just read up the section that you need. You can copy it and then substitute the name GhostBSD disk if you wish. But you have to be careful with DD to make sure that you are tagging it to the correct drive. If you're on Windows, you can use something like Rufus or Belena Etcher, whichever is easiest for yourself. Right then, so normally I would use DD if I was writing to a USB stick, and this is basically what it would look like for me. I would just use the up arrow, use a shortcut to go to the command, copy the name of the ISO that I've just downloaded, and then just paste it in. And then, boom, there you go. Off it goes. I'm not going to do it in this case because I'm using VirtualBox. My test machine is out of action at the moment. But, I mean, this is the way to do it if you want to do it to a USB stick. Right, so like I say, I'm going to use VirtualBox. And it's all set up. I've got the ISO image selector pointing at where it downloaded. Which is in the case of RAM disk. So that's all ready to go. Got the type, everything's set up nice and neat. So once we're happy with everything that's been selected so far, I'm going to click next. I'm going to give it, I don't know, I'll give it 12 gigabytes. No, I'm going to give it 8, no, 12, 16. I'm going to give it 16 gigabytes. It's way more than it needs, but there you go. And I'm going to give it 8 CPUs. You give it what's appropriate on your machine. On my machine, I can spare it. And this size, I'm going to say about 80 gigabytes maybe. It doesn't need that much, but we'll give it that. Yeah, I don't need to click anything else. Okay. And I think we should be good to go on that. Yeah, click finish. Maybe, I always like to, I don't know if I need to do this, but I'm always going to, it's false habit really. I'm going to, no, that's not that one. I'm going to give it that one. Making sure, yeah, I'm going to give it a little bit more video memory. and enable 3D acceleration. I think that's all we need to do. Yeah, everything's already set up that way. Right. See, it's more, do you know, I really do prefer doing this on proper hardware, but, you know, you got to use what you got to use. And so we'll double click or start it. And it's there it is. And there we go. Right, let's have a look at this boot menu. And I'll give you a quick rundown of what this boot menu is. First, we've got number one. It's the default boot. It's the boot multi-user. And you can have when it's paused like this, you can either press enter or you can just let it run, in which case it will go into it by default. And it allows additional users. And it starts GhostBSD in its normal operating mode, which all services and processes are configured and running. And let's have multi-users. So it's your normal mode. So it's what most people will boot into. Number two is boot single user. In certain circumstances, you may need to enter the single user mode for operations such as troubleshooting, startup errors, handling system exceptions, configuring disk partitions, and just changing the boot user password. In single user mode, the system loads only basic components and services, and you have system admin permissions, which allow you to modify all system configurations. So you don't normally need to go into that, but it's there if you need to. And number three, the escape to loader prompt. This will boot the system into a repair prompt that contains a small number of low-level commands to fix issues with ACPI, etc., or make adjustments to the boot process. And it's really focused on repair more than anything else. Number four is reboot, and it allows you to select a type of reboot that you want to perform, such as a clean reboot or a reboot with specific parameters. Number five, cons. That's rather cryptic, but it stands for console, and you can choose between video, serial, and dual console options. I think most people just keep it at video. I think you can select, if you can press 5, it goes through the combinations, and if you select serial, I think it's when you're doing a headless install, I think, when there's no monitor there, but I could be wrong on that. I never touched that, so, you know. Number 6 is kernel. If you've got more than one kernel, then you can select the one that you need to boot into. Most people just leave it at default. Number 7, boot options. Allows you to specify boot parameters such as boot device, root file system location, and other kernel options. Again, I think most people won't touch that, but it's there if you need to sort of like get yourself out of a jam. Right. But we'll press enter and start the boot process. And it loads everything to memory so it can run as a live image. It can take a while, so we'll fast forward this. And we're nearly finished. Yes, everything's starting up now. Well, that's good. And here we are in the live desktop session of GhostBSD. Right, the live session really, if you want to get some work done on the go, but it's non-persistent, so it won't save your work if you reboot the system, like NomadBSD would. And it comes with some basic tools, which we'll cover in another video, or you can watch one of my reviews of GhostBSD, in which I go into more depth on this. But for this one, we just really want it to install, so if we double-click on install, there we go. And I think we'll make it a little bit bigger so we can see more, and I'll zoom in. Right, so you've got a list of languages you can choose, and it's quite an extensive list. It defaults to English at the top, but I mean, you know, if you want to select one of the many, many languages it's got, you just scroll down really and select the one you want. It's really intuitive. There's a lot of languages to choose from, and even more keyboard variants, but we'll get to that in a minute. It defaults to American English. So if you're perhaps, say, from the United Kingdom like I am, you're going to have to select English United Kingdom. Otherwise, your keyboard's going to be a bit funky and your time might not be right. We click on Next once we've selected that. So we're going to need to select the keyboard language. And if you thought there were a lot of languages available in the actual language part, there's even more available on this. We're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, of course. Just have a look. But yeah, there's a lot of variants, even within languages. Like you get different versions. If you don't choose the right one, your characters won't look right. Again, it defaults to English US. You think it perhaps might choose it automatically after selecting the main language, but it doesn't. You have to make sure. So we're going to go down to English UK. And even then, there's variations of different types of keyboard you can choose. So, pick that one as a kind of like a generic keyboard. And the type of keyboard, good grief, I think is even bigger. There's lots of different types of keyboard within the UK one. Choose which one's on your computer, obviously. Mine's a Sun Type 7. But I mean, if you've got Apple, you could use that. So mine's a Sun Type 7 and a European version, I think. You think I'd know by now, wouldn't you? And once you've done that, click Next. Now we have to choose the time zone. You've got all the main continents there. Yep, so it starts off at the Americas, of course. But if you're in Europe, choose Europe, Africa. You got the Americas, you got Antarctica, you got the Antarctica's quite a few. You got the Arctic, which there's Longyearbyen, lovely place. Asia, Atlantic, Australia, Europe, India, and the Pacific. So choose obviously one which applies to you. And of course I'm going to choose Europe. I'm going to have to scroll down all the way down to London, which is the capital city of the country that you're in Europe. So it doesn't break it down per country and then capital city. It breaks it just down as list the capital cities. So it's London. And next. And here we got the type of installation we want. You can have the full disk install, which is usually the default way of doing it. Or we can have the custom advanced partitioning, which you might need to if you want to say, for instance, dual boot. I don't use the custom one. I mean, it's like in years gone by, you'd have to install FreeBSD this way, but I don't do it anymore like that. And there's your 82 gigabyte hard drive that we created. You select your partitioning table, so you can have GPT or MBR. I'm going to stick on GPT. You select Add. And then you've created your free space, which will, out of that, you will create the various little partitions that you need to for your GhostBSD. You can click Auto, and it will automatically do it for you, which I think is how it looks if you choose full disk configuration. If you want to undo that, you can click Revert. It will take it back to the beginning. So create GPT and free space. We're going to create again instead of auto. And then this way you can specify the size yourself. So say for instance boot. I'm going to give it a tiny little amount. You can have a click plus or minus to go down. It might take a long time if your hard drive is quite large. Or you can type in the number you want here, as big as you want, like that, or as small as you want, like that, which is too small, but you get the idea. And you do it again for your swap partition. If you want one of those, again, make it as small as you want, or as big as you want. And the rest will be taken up by your root file system and your user, etc. You can go into more details and actually separate each one out further, or just lump it under one root file system if you want. It depends. So I'm just going to delete these and revert that, and we'll come out of that. And we're going to choose the first option, which again is usually the default, which is full disk configuration. You can't see it, but I'm just going to click on next. And this screen allows us to just basically tell the system how many disks we've got, where you want to install it, and pool name, etc. So you can have if you've got a single disk, if you've got 2 disks, you can have 2 disk mirror, 3 disks, a RAID 1, 4 disks RAID 2, 5 disks RAID 3, and 2 plus more disks you can have stripe, which we don't have. We've got a single disk, so we're going to click that. And we can call it the actual pool name. We can call it whatever we want. I mean, it's already going to be called by default zroot, but you know, if you want to call it, say for instance, zpool, or anything you want to call it, really. But we're going to leave it like that. Force ZFS 4K block size is on by default, so really, I mean, we're just going to leave it. I think that helps with more modern disks. And the swap size at 2 gigs, we're going to leave like that. You could increase it if you want, of course. And we will select the disk. Before we forget, we're going to select the actual hard drive you want to install on. Otherwise, you're not going to get it too far with that. Once you're happy with all this, you can click Next. And we're taken to the BIOS loader screen menu choice. Oh, what a mouthful. And really, the top one, the Refined or EFI Boot Manager, after installing, it will automatically detect and offer boot options for all detected operating systems. So if you've got more than one on your system and you want to boot between them, this is going to help you. I don't use that, so I can't really verify if it works or anything, but I should imagine it does. The second one, the FreeBSD Boot Manager. The FreeBSD Boot Manager, oh, by the way, if you're getting confused, you think, oh, this is GhostBSD. It is, but GhostBSD is based on FreeBSD, so it uses many of the same tools. So you might see references to FreeBSD, but it still applies to GhostBSD. The FreeBSD Boot Manager can be installed during the installation to allow you to boot multiple operating systems, like the first one. The first one uses EFI, this one doesn't. After the install, the boot manager can be configured with the Boot Zero CFG program. So it's more old school, I think. Again, I don't use it, but I think that's how it works. Like EFI for the top one and non-EFI for the second one. If the only operating system is the one that you're installing, then the FreeBSD bootloader for the BIOS will do. Right, now we're on to the setting up a user, which will be yourself, of course. You need to set an account for yourself. So you put in your real name. You can put in, I mean, you don't have to. You could use any name you want to. And a username, usually based upon your real name. But then again, you could use anything that you want as long as you remember it. There's no restriction as far as I know. It might be, who knows, I've really not gone that far, but some operating systems only allow you to have 8 or 6 characters. GhostBSD doesn't seem to do that, so you could put your name as you want it to be. Your username, that is. Right, so once that's done, underneath we have the password section. And what I like about this, it will tell you if your password it thinks is weak, fairly weak or super weak, which is nice. And if it doesn't match up, you'll get a little cross there. So we type in the password, which I don't know. I can remember later, because that's important that you have to remember your passwords. It will tell you if it matches up. If it doesn't match, it gives you an X. And you have to remember that this is the user admin setup. So the password you're using here is the same password you will use if, say, for instance, you want to gain root privileges. So once you're happy, we're going to click on the install. And at the bottom of the screen, it's in kind of a grey, so it might be hard to see. It will give you a little update of how it's doing. It gives you a little progress bar but it also gives you an update too in various texts that pop up. It doesn't take that long for GhostBSD to install, but we're going to fast forward it anyway. And once we're finished, it will tell you installation is completed. You need to restart the computer in order to use the new installation. You can continue to use the live media, although any changes you make or documents you save will not be preserved on reboot. So this is not a persistent live system like NomadBSD. It's really just for doing a bit of light work on the go, saving to perhaps a USB stick or a cloud service, or just to test your system out, really. So, yeah, you can press restart, or you can continue and shut the machine down, which gives you time to perhaps remove the USB stick that you've got in the system, or the live image disk thingamabob, or the ISO, which I'm going to do because if you're not quick, it's going to reboot on the image again. Right, so this next bit really mirrors what you're doing if you remove a USB stick from your PC. I'm going to remove the ISO image from VirtualBox. So when we boot up, it doesn't boot into that again, as you would in real life for a PC. So if you left your USB stick and you rebooted, you get the live system again. So once that's removed, we can start the virtual machine up, or you could press the power on your own PC and it starts up, and we should boot into GhostBSD. So hopefully it should boot up. Oh, nice. Okay, I'm just going to make the screen a bit bigger so we can see better. There we go. And we're going to press enter again to carry on. So I'm just going to leave it to boot in real time. I'm not going to fast forward. And I'm just looking, yep, the firewall is automatically loaded and configured, which is nice. And are we going to do it? Yes, there we go. Nice fancy dancy login screen. See, that didn't take long to boot up. It's very nice. Of course, it depends on your own hardware. I'm booting from a virtual machine, so it's quicker, but you know, it doesn't take long. And at the top left, we've got the name of the system. Then we've got some accessibility options, which is nice. Keyboard, if you want to change your keyboard, tells you which is presently set up. There's all the various options. If say for instance you made a mistake during the initial config, you got the time and power if you want to quit. It's all basic stuff so far. And in this section, if we put in your password, now the password as an option so you can see the password you put in. If you press on that I. If you leave it as it is, by default, you'll get these blank, these little circles, because you don't want anyone seeing. So put in your password that we set up earlier, if you remember it. And we should be on, he says, hopefully, the GhostBSD desktop. There we go, yes, all installed. And you know it's worked because it hasn't got an install option on the desktop. If you were booting into the live session, you'd see install on the left-hand side there. And everything should be installed. You probably might need to set things up later, which I might do a video on that. Audio, networking is working. Time, and the clock brings up a calendar, which is useful. Got your virtual desktops at the bottom there. And on the bottom left-hand corner, if you want to reveal your desktop and make anything else, just minimize out the way. And right-clicking will bring up a little sub-menu if you want to change wallpaper, make a folder, etc. And speaking of which, you've got these little folders on the left-hand side. Yes, let's have a look at wallpapers. You can change the wallpaper if you want. Does everybody change the wallpaper as soon as they log in? I don't know. You can change your font. Select best for LCDs. make it bigger, change things around, change the theme. There's not many themes to choose from, but we'll have a look at that later. And look at that, bing, update available. GhostBSD has just told me that an update is available, and that's good timing because we'll do that next time. This video was really just to show you some basics. All these ones here, the backup station, print settings, software station, and update station, we can have a look later. So yeah, GhostBSD is a real joy to use, but it's even more of a joy if you're used to setting up systems, because it does it all for you, especially FreeBSD based systems. FreeBSD is a wonderful OS, but perhaps it's not for the faint-hearted. GhostBSD gives you the power of FreeBSD, but with the ease of use and install of many Linux distributions. And I think Eric and the team have nailed it. It's an excellent, it's a wonderful thing to use. I love GhostBSD. Anyway, that's the end of this long video. If you got to the end, thank you. If you've liked this video in any way, then please give it a thumbs up. You can give it a thumbs down if you want. If you've liked any other of my videos on my channel, then please consider subscribing. And if you do subscribe, then don't forget to hit that notification bell, because if you hit that, you'll get an update of when I release a new video. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. This and every other video on my channel has been made using FreeBSD and open source software.